So we're going to look at rest. Coming the end of summer, actually the end of a couple of bad years. Some tough times have been going on. So I think we need to give ourselves a little rest. In fact, let's remember how important rest is. God knows how important rest is. In fact, you don't even need to go there. In Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, after 6 days of creation, in which God created lights, He created time, He created the heavens, He created the world, all the animals and all the fish and all the birds, He created mankind. 6 days of creation, He looked out and said, it is what? Good, very good. After He completed, as soon as the woman came along, it was very good, right? So we finally got to very good. And He said, this is perfect. And then what did God do on the seventh day? He rested. Because He was tired? No, the Bible's very clear. God doesn't get tired, but He did it because He knew we would need what? Rest. So I want you to get this in your mind. God created everything important, didn't He? Including what? It was so important that He took a whole day of creation to make sure we understand that we need what? Rest. Book of Hebrews goes even more in depth to it and says, hey, this is what God did. He created it. He took that rest so that we would know rest now and also look forward to that day of rest when we have that eternal rest. Does that mean we're going to sit around and do nothing? No, but we will have what? Rest unto our souls, rest unto our mind, rest unto our heart. We will have that time of rest. So He created this. He put it in the law. He said, this is important. It is not God's intent that we just run ourselves into the ground with worry and sin and the burdens of this world. That is not His intent, is it? His intent is that we have rest and know peace. In fact, what we're going to look at today is, I thought 7 was a nice number, 7 things we can do to ensure we have rest in our life. Now, we're busy, we have things, but even when we're busy, even when the storms, even when all the issues of life seem to be pounding on top of us, compounding on top of us, we can still have what? Rest. We can still know peace, can't we? Through God. And this is how we do it. So let's all go. It's a very basic lesson today. Let's all go to Matthew chapter 11. And let's start where Jesus started. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. It's a passage we go to quite often. It's an important passage for us to remember. And if you have your paper, the first step here, the first thing we need to do to find rest is to come to Jesus, right? Go to God. Again, this world sits out there and they say, oh, I know how you can have rest. If you got a lot of money, then you can find rest. If you get the success in your job, you get this, you get that. If you attain this or get to this level or that level, or you get here, you get there, and then you will find rest. In fact, Jesus tells the story of a guy, a rich man, whose barns were full to the brim. So what did he say? Well, I'm going to tear down those barns, and I'm going to build some bigger barns, and I'm going to finally fill those up. And when I've got those filled up, what did he say? Now I can rest. And what did Jesus say about that guy? Well, God said, you idiot, you moron, you fool, because you have spent all your time working there thinking you'll find rest, but tonight your soul is required. And he died. And then who gets all that stuff? Kids. So the world has no idea what they're talking about, do they? They don't know what rest really means. They don't know how to find rest. It is not by, if I work and I work and I work, if I do this or this, or I attain this or this in this world, then I can have rest. God says no. In fact, what does He say? Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I love that word give, don't you? How many like the word gift? And give. Because it's not earned, it's something that he was willing to what? Just give us. If we come to God with all the pressures and things of this world, and we come unto him, he will give us what? Rest. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like the burdens of this world are too much, where can you go? Where do you need to go? Go to God. Talk to him and say, Lord, I need rest. I need a rest. You know I need rest. You've given me rest. You gave me a day of rest. You showed me I need rest. Lord, please give me rest. And then what does he say? Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is what? Light. We need to come to Jesus. That's the first part of it. But then we also need to carry the right load, right? Because let's face it, there are a lot of burdens that even Christians will carry that they should not be carrying. I have these up here. I've left them up here. They're going away today. So Connie keeps asking me. No, just kidding. These rocks here. Again, how many of you, if you're going on a long hike, would say, boy, I need more weight? I need more burden. Well, we're on a marathon, aren't we? We're on a marathon race called life. And we don't need more burdens than we have, right? Some of us are maybe carrying burdens of sin. Sins that fall on us and weigh on us. What does God say about those? If we have a sin, what can we do? Confess those sins. He is faithful and just to forgive us those sins and to what? Cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Get rid of that burden. How many are happy about that one? Don't carry the burden of sin. How about guilt? After you have sought his forgiveness, does God say, well, now you got to carry that guilt the rest of your life? That failure, you have to think about that your whole life. You have to remember that your whole life. That time you failed me. That time you didn't do what was right. That time you didn't come to me. You need to carry that. What does God say? No, not at all. When you're forgiven, don't carry the guilt. Because God has done what? He's forgotten it. He has removed it as far as the east is from the west, away from you. He's buried it. It's gone. And if God has forgotten it, why are you carrying it around? Let what? Let go. How about a grudge? How many of you have ever had somebody do something bad to you? You don't need to raise your hand. I know you. We've all had people do bad things to us. People we cared about. People close to us have done terrible things to us. Said something, did something. And like these rocks, what do we learn? What's the best thing to do? What does that say up there? Drop them. Not the people. Drop that anger, that hurt. Forgive them, and then what? Let go. It's a burden we're not supposed to. Grudges, judgment, hate, it's not something we're supposed to carry. Who can we go to again to get rid of these things? Come unto me, all you that are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you what? Rest. Go to him and say, Lord, I don't want to carry these sins anymore. Lord, I don't want to carry these grudges anymore. Lord, I don't want to carry this guilt anymore. Please take these from me. I know I'm not supposed to have them. What about works? So many Christians are carrying this idea that they need to make sure they keep their salvation. Is that a burden we're supposed to be carrying? In fact, what does Paul say to the Galatians who were being taught that? You fools. How many of us can save ourselves? Raise your hand. How many of us can work hard enough, be good enough, give enough, sacrifice enough to save ourselves? The answer is nobody. Well, as he says to the Galatians, if you can't save yourself, what makes you think you can now work hard enough to keep yourself saved? But so many of us do that. Oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've made this mistake and I got to keep doing what's right. I got to prove myself to God. What does God say? Stop it. I will never leave you or forsake you. I will always forgive you. I will finish my work in you. Don't worry about it. Worries and cares of this world, how many are carrying those burdens around? Hate and judgment? These are not things we're supposed to carry, are they? There is a burden we're supposed to carry. It's what the Lord wants for us. But if we carry what the Lord has for me, then it is what? Light. able to carry it. How many have ever done backpacking? I've done multi-day up in the Sierras, wonderful backpacking. I encourage everybody to do it at least once in their life. So, yeah, some people maybe, but it's a wonderful experience. But you learn very quickly what weight does, and you're only supposed to carry what your body is able to take. And when God looks down on us, does He know what we can take, what burdens we can handle, what jobs we can do? And that's what He's doing. He's sitting there with a backpack and saying, here, carry this. I used to go backpacking with my little brother. I hope he's not watching. Maybe he is. He was a scrawny guy. Still is a scrawny guy. Yeah, he's maybe taller, but he's a lot thinner. Like, what are you about, 6'2", 135? It's crazy. Anyways, when we went backpacking, it always, you can only carry so much, and it went by weight. And I still remember, we went on this like multi-day, and basically it came down to he can carry some of his food. That's all. That was the burden he could carry. And maybe his sleeping bag. That's it. And guess who had to carry the rest of it? Guess who had excess weight that they can carry? Sometimes I had to carry him across the rivers. That was fun. But again, each one can carry so much, and who knows best? God does. And get rid of the things you know you're not supposed to be carrying, and then say, Lord, give me rest. Let me know what I'm supposed to be doing. I will gladly carry that because I know it's right, and I can with your help, right? So, what's a good way to rest? Come to who? Come to Jesus and say, Lord, am I carrying some burdens that I'm not supposed to be carrying? Lord, please remove those from me, and Lord, let me carry what you want me to carry. And I know I will find rest. So let go of those things and come to God and get His help. What else can we do? Philippians chapter 4. Not only do we have burdens that cause us to labor, make life difficult, but how many have worries? Again, nobody needs to raise their hand. We all have them. We have fears. We have anxieties. We have worries. How many have worries about the past? How many have worries about today? How many have worries about tomorrow? I can find something to worry about when? Every day, every moment, everything. I can always look forward and say, boy, that would be terrible if that happened. Am I supposed to be doing that? Oh, if I don't have this or I don't have that. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. In fact, He has a prescription if we live in anxiety and fear. Here it is. Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. Be careful. And careful means anxious, worry about, fret. Any of those you can use, right? Don't worry about what? Anything. Be careful for nothing. Is he just being hyperbolic here, or does he really mean this? He means this. Be careful, worry about nothing. For in everything, every situation, every thought that pops in, as soon as that little worry comes in, as soon as the anxiety comes in, as soon as that thought of, oh, what if? In everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. So who do we take it to? Take it to God. Pray to God. Say, Lord, I need your help here. This idea is coming in my head again. I'm starting to feel this again. I'm having a hard time sleeping again. Lord, I give this to you with prayer and supplication, request, with thanksgiving. Now, why thanksgiving? Why does he throw that in? Well, I like it because whenever I include thanksgiving, it reminds me that when has he ever helped me before? Every time. So kind of adds a little bit here too. I'm giving it to you knowing that I have always been able to count on you. I've always gotten your help. And again, I've told this story 1,000 times. It's an example I love because one of the things I will worry about sometimes is a parking space. Anybody ever worried about a parking space? Working downtown, I've got to go to another building and I got to go in there, I got to find a parking space. I hate that process Because I have absolutely zero control. I don't like having zero control. It's just, and I'll sit there and say, and anxiety will come over me. It's like, oh, what if I don't get a parking space? What if I don't know what I'm supposed to do? Who do I give it to? Lord, can you just take care of this for me? And I get there, and what happens? There's this parking space. And it gets taken care of, right? Why do we put ourselves through this? Well, because we're human. And these thoughts come across our mind. He says what? Go to him in prayer with thanksgiving. Just let your request be made known unto God. Just let him know. It's not demanding. It's just like, hey, Lord, this is what I need. I need peace. I need sleep. I need help. I need this to be taken care of. And what will happen? And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. So, that's a promise, isn't it? When we take it to him, what will overcome us? The peace of God, which makes no sense. It's beyond our comprehension why we would have peace in these difficult situations and what we're going through, but he can give us that peace. And he will guard our what? Our hearts and our what? Minds. How many could use a little guarding of the mind sometimes? What keeps you awake at night? Whatever it is, take it to who? Take it to God and say, Lord, please, can you take care of this? And let the peace of God overwhelm you and take care of you. Does that mean nothing bad's ever going to happen? No. But when it does happen, guess who's there with you? Guess who's going to take care of it? He will. In fact, that's the third one. Let's go to Psalm 46. Psalm 46. So we have come to God for rest and drop all the unnecessary burdens. Come to him when we're anxious and we worry. Come to him and he will give us peace. Then look at this. Starting in verse 1 of Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will we not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. What's going on in your life? Any troubles, struggles? Anything scary out there? Yes, look at this world. How many are fearful of what's going on economically, politically, militarily? That's just worldwide. Physically, pain, suffering, illness, injuries. Can these all overwhelm us? Can we all fear these things? At least we haven't had this. Have we had the entire earth being shaken or mountains being thrown into the sea? I haven't seen that. So even if it gets to that, yeah, I shouldn't say that too loud. Check out the window there. Verse 4. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. As we come to these things, these big, worldwide, nationwide, family-wide things, these big things, it's easy to fear, isn't it? Fear what's going on in the world, fear what the future may hold, fear about all of these things. And that can overwhelm us, can it? But what does he say? I remember that God is still where? Still on his throne, still in heaven, still in control. Right? And when's that going to change, by the way? Is the devil ever going to knock him off his throne? The world going to ever knock him off his throne? The sinful world ever going to win? No. In fact, look what he says in verse 10. This is where we find peace. Be still and what? Know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. So the third thing we need to define peace is know that God is still who? God. Creator of all things. And again, it's easy to fear, especially listening to the news and everything. Oh no, the sinners are winning. No, they're not. They're never going to win, are they? They're never going to win. Who's going to win? God will win. God always wins. And what's our job? We saw that last couple of weeks on fighting, right? Our job is just to go and tell them, love them. Go and tell them the truth that God is still on his throne and God still will win, right? Because he is the King of Kings. So, as all the things swirl around us and all these things, the world tells us we need to fear this, fear this, fear this, fear this. Say, no, I will not fear. God is still on his throne, and I know that he is still God, right? And he will be exalted, won't he? By all. Every tongue shall confess that he is God. Also this, Psalm 23. How many of you lack peace and rest because you have a need? Sometimes we lack, don't we? Especially in the world sitting there saying we need something bigger and better. But what do we know? Who is our shepherd? The Lord is our shepherd. Therefore we shall not what? Want. We shall not lack anything we absolutely need, right? In fact, what does he say? He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He gives rest to our soul. He restores it and builds it up. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will what? Fear no evil, for what? Thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. In fact, I like this part. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. The world rages, and what are we doing? I have the steak medium rare, mashed potato with everything, a little creme brulee, well glazed for dessert. Thank you very much. Does that sound like a man in panic? No. Who's got this all under control? You anoint my head with oil, my cup, the blessings of God just overwhelm us. He mends us. He helps us. He meets all of our needs. And then we know that surely goodness and mercy shall follow us how many days? Every one of them. All the days of our life. And then what will we do? Dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So really, the way of peace and rest is to follow the shepherd, right? As long as we are following him, as long as we are in his shadow, following in his footsteps, then what do we have to fear? Now, sometimes we're like that prodigal son, though. Remember that guy? What did he decide? I don't need my shepherding father. I don't need him telling me what to do. I don't need him. I'm going to go off to a far place. And I'm going to go where he's not known. And I'm going to go and live my life. I'm going to do my thing because I'm such a smart sheep. How'd that work out? Ended up eating with the pigs, right? But when did that father ever give up on that son? When did that father ever say, well, if he comes back here, he's not my son anymore? When did he ever say, no, he better not show his face around here? No. He's a good shepherd whenever we turn around, whenever we come back. In fact, he'll come looking for us, won't he? Even if we're one of the 99, he'll still leave the 99 and come and find us. He will always get us there. But it's always better, and it's a place of rest when we are what? Following him. That's the best place to be. Because he will give us the things we need to eat. He will give us the water we need to drink. He will put us in the right place. And even if it is a scary place, we know we are with him and we have nothing to fear. So follow the shepherd. That is the place of rest, isn't it? What else can we do? James chapter 1. Pop quiz. Who here always knows what to do? Nobody. Nobody. And that can bring some anxiety, can it? I don't know what I am supposed to do. Should I take this job? Should I take that job? Should I go live here? Should I live here? Should I go there? Should I not go there? Should I do this? Not do this? And that is not a place of rest, is it? How many like it and find it very restful when you know what you're supposed to be doing and you're doing it? So, I really don't care what it is. I find rest in mowing. You know why? Because it's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm done when I'm done, right? It's, to me, shut up the mind and go. I find that very restful. And life's the same way. When we know what we're supposed to be doing, it's much easier, isn't it? And if we don't know what we're doing, what should we do? When we don't have that peace, when we're not sure, and we have unrest because we're not, who should we go to? Anybody want to guess? Ask God. In fact, what does James chapter 1 verse say? If any of you lack wisdom, you don't know the answer, let him what? Ask of God, that gives to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. I love that. He will give. So many people create these religions in this world where you got to sit there and you just assume God's hiding everything, right? It's like he's over there and he's hoarding information. He's giving it out by little drips and drabs just to kind of string you along and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And when you get out of hand, he'll hide some more. Is that the way God works? Not at all. You know what God says? Take it. Here. Take more. I'll give you all the understanding. I'll give you all the answers. Here. Take it all. He's an open what? Book. It's all there. If you don't understand it, who's there inside you to help you understand? The Holy Ghost. God is with you to help you understand. You just have to what? Ask. Ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and you shall what? Find. Who said that? Jesus said that. And he can't lie, right? He wants to give us the answer. He wants us to follow him. He wants to do that. So if you're not sure, what do you need to do? Ask. Now, there's a little side note here. Actually follow it. Because it is actually pretty anxiety-giving when God gives you the answer and you say, no, I don't think so. I think I've got a better way. That's not helpful. But seek the answer. Will he guide you? Yeah. He will help you. Sometimes it'll be, wait a little while, be patient, but be patient. And rest in knowing that God will give you at right time, right place. He will give you the answer, and you will know. And you can just trust that. Can you trust the Lord? Yes. Trust him and follow him. So, come to him, dump all the dumb burdens. Pray. Pray to God. Feel that anxiety coming? Pray. Know that he is God. No matter what's going on, no tumults in this world, all the disasters in this world, know that God is still in control. Also, follow the shepherd. Right? Follow his path. And ask. Ask for wisdom. You don't know the answer? Ask. Ask the answer. How many of you in class would have, if the teacher said, if you don't know an answer on the test, just ask me and I'll give you the answer? How many would have asked the teacher? That's what God does. He's a great teacher. He said, you want an answer? I'll give you the answer. You just have to actually what? Put it down, please. Right? And I'll give you the answer. Now, he also gives us a couple of tools. Let's go to Romans chapter 15, verse 4. A couple of things to help us along this path and find this rest. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. Paul writes to the folks in Romans in chapter 15, verse 4, and whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the Scriptures might have hope. When he says things written aforetime, what is he talking about? This was written for us. And one of the reasons he gave this, obviously one of the big ones, is that we know Jesus Christ, know salvation through him, obviously. But also in our life, he gives us all of these stories, all these Old Testament stories that people lived thousands of years ago. He gave them to us so that we might have hope. Because how many have ever had a bad day? How many have struggled? How many people in here did? In fact, I've never had as bad a day as, say, Job. Comes to mind, doesn't he? But what does that story tell us? As Job said, I know that my Redeemer lives, and I know that even if this body goes in the ground, the worms eat it up, I know with these eyes I shall see him face to face someday when he stands on this earth. He had what? Hope. He knew that God was still in heaven, knew that God was still fair and right and righteous. He did not let those things overcome him, did he? A little bit, but not much. And he had God on his side. What about the rest of the story? Same thing, right? That whatever they went through, when they put their trust in God, God was always faithful, wasn't he? And always helped. That brings us hope, doesn't it? So there's comfort. He gives us this great tool of his word. What should we do then? Read it. Get to know it. Read these stories. Read them from a perspective of, hey, that's a real person going through some real things like I do. What did they do? Sometimes they did not trust God and it did not go well. When they trusted God, what? It went well, right? So put your trust in him. And also this last one, 2 Corinthians chapter 1. Second Corinthians chapter 1. We're going to read verses 3 and 4. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 3. Blessed be God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and the God of all what? Comfort. Again, he's the God of what? Rest and comfort and peace. Who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble, by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God. And this is a nice little understanding. As we go through troubles, God is there to comfort us. And one of the reasons is so that we can then turn around and do what? Comfort others. Help others. Again, how many have been through something? I guarantee you, whatever you've been through, even as small as group as this is, somebody's gone through something similar. And can you imagine the church worldwide? There's people who have been through tough times, haven't there? And God comforted them so we can then comfort one another. And I like this one because one of the things that does help me when I'm feeling overwhelmed and this is going on and that's going on, it's so easy. Everybody take their hand real quick. I've done this before. Everybody take your hand. Hopefully everybody's got a hand. Yep. All right, I see them. Okay, good. I want you to take your hand. I want you to put it right here on your face, not mine. How big is your hand? Huge, all-encompassing. It's taking everything. I can't see anything else. When we take all of our own troubles and we put them right here and that's all we think about, how big are they? Huge. But when we take our hand and put it out there and start looking at everybody else and all the things they're going through and going out and helping them, how big does that become? Manageable. And when we compare it to God, how small is it? Itty bitty. So, one of the ways we can find comfort from God is going and helping who? Others. And really, it's just about, I went through something similar. I put my trust in God. I remembered that he is God. I remembered to ask him. I remembered to pray to him, and I received comfort. Let me pray for you. And when we do that, does that help? You say, well, what about my problems? Well, then somebody else can come do the same for you, right? And come pray for you and help you. That's what we're here for, right? And that's the way we find peace. So come to Jesus. If you're feeling overwhelmed and burdened, that's not his intent. He says, come and I will give you a rest. Feeling anxious, that's not his desire for you. Instead, come to him and ask. Pray for help. It's not his intent for you to live in fear of what's going on in the world around you. That's not his intent at all. It's instead to know that he is God, he's in control, and he will win, right? And find that peace. It's not his intent for us to be going through this world all by ourselves, trying to meet every need ourselves and doing all this stuff ourselves. He says, no, I'll take care of those things. Just follow me. It's also not his intent that we live in confusion, not understanding, wondering what is right and what is wrong. He says, no, just ask me. And I'll give you my word and I'll give you my people. to help you all along the way. And let's remember this. How does it end? Revelation chapter 21. Now, if you're one of those who doesn't like going to the end, knowing the answer at the end of the book, you'd rather just finish life, don't do that in this case. Because this is how it ends. Chapter 21, Revelation chapter 21, verse 3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. It ends with what? Rest. Yeah, complete rest. For how long? Forever and ever and ever. In the meantime, is it still God's intent that we have rest even now? We're going to have to go through a lot of stuff. But even in the storms and the things and the burdens and things of life, God says, I still have a plan. That it doesn't overwhelm you. You don't lose sleep over it. You can have true rest if you just put your trust in me. Right? Let's pray.